First up, don't skip this. Games Workshop just announced 61 new miniatures in a single box. And somewhere, right now, a grown adult is doing math on a whiteboard, trying to justify it to their spouse. I'm your host. This is the Miniature Misinformer podcast. Today, the Armageddon launch box nobody asked for, but everyone is already planning to pre-order. A kill team sells out that lasted approximately 3 human heartbeats, and Duncan Rhodes doing something so mysterious that the internet has already filed a missing persons report on his business plan. Strap in. Your wallet won't make it out of this episode alive. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, hobbyists, lore addicts, and people who currently telling themselves that their pile of shame is an investment portfolio. It's a bold strategy. I respect the commitment to the lie. Big week in tabletop news. Games Workshop revealed the 11th edition Warhammer 40,000 Armageddon launch box, proving once again that nothing says grim darkness of the far future quite like 61 brand new miniatures and a credit card quietly weeping in a corner. In French, because this is Canada, and even financial despair is bilingual. The new box includes Space Marines, orcs, campaign books, rule books, cards, transfer sheets, and approximately $700 worth of technically optional purchases that every single player immediately declared mandatory. Canadian hobbyists are already preparing for launch day the way we prepare for a snowstorm, buying too much, panicking early, and fighting a man named Steve at 6 a.m. in a mall parking lot outside a Games Workshop. Steve always shows up. Nobody knows who Steve is. Steve has never lost. And in Kill Team news, Terror of Devlan sold so fast that hobbyists are now measuring product availability in a brand new unit. Microseconds per disappointment. One customer reportedly clicked add to cart and received an automated email saying, "Thank you for your interest in this product. You absolutely never had a chance of owning." Touching, really. A personal touch. Hobby scandals. Games Workshop unveiled the new Armageddon starter set featuring 23 Space Marines and 38 brand new orcs. Which means somewhere right now a Space Marine player is saying, finally, a reasonably sized starter force. While an orc player is saying, that's it, need more boys. Both are wrong. Both are correct. This is Warhammer. The box also includes Operation Imperator lore book explaining once again why Armageddon is under attack instead of literally any other planet in an imperium of 1,000,000 worlds. At this point, Armageddon has been invaded so many times it qualifies for heritage designation. The planet's Wikipedia page under history is just the word invasion repeated in different fonts. The new portable core rulebook is also smaller and easier to carry, allowing players to finally transport their rules to games they still won't finish by turn 3. This is progress. And naturally, the internet responded with its trademark calm, nuanced analysis by posting 11-hour YouTube videos titled, "Is this the death of 40K?" Spoiler, no. But your wallet might be. We'll have a small funeral. Bring minis. Kill Team, Terror on Devlan, gone before you blinked. The new Kill Team box set sold out faster than a Tim Hortons drive-thru after a Leafs playoff collapse. Collectors, scalpers, and one guy named Darren running 6 browser tabs fought harder for the box most Astra Militarum regiments fight chaos. To be fair, Darren had a plan. Darren trained for this. Games Workshop insists demand exceeded expectations. Gamers insist expectations should now include maybe print enough for Earth. One hobbyist described the pre-order experience as like trying to buy concert tickets while being punched repeatedly in the kidneys by a servitor. The servitor, for its part, was just following orders. Duncan Rhodes accidentally causes a fantasy panic. Former Games Workshop painting legend and Patreon saint of tooth and coats, Duncan Rhodes teased his new company, Death Reaper Games. The internet reacted the only rational way possible. Complete and total conspiracy-fueled hysteria. The first teaser showed mysterious fantasy silhouettes. The second revealed a character name, and I want you to hear this in full. Sir Tristan Coates, Knight Commander of the Vale, from Lords and Legends, The Void Shadow Requiem. That title alone sounds like a prog metal album sold exclusively at Renaissance fairs. Nobody knows if this is a miniature line, a skirmish game, a full tabletop universe, or just Duncan personally challenging Games Workshop to a duel using wet pallets at dawn. And yet hobbyists are excited because Duncan has achieved the impossible, making people trust a new tabletop company before seeing a single rule. That has not happened since approximately 1998. The man could announce a game called Sad Rocks, the miniature experience, and people would pre-register their email. This week's Community Watch. Para Bellum Games released a new Conquest First Blood faction spotlight for the Old Dominion. And if you enjoy undead empires powered by grief, dark magic, and emotionally unresolved historical drama, good news, they've got options. The faction generates dark power whenever friendly units die, which honestly feels less like a game mechanic and more like how Reddit sustains itself. Players spend dark power to activate abilities called Memories of Old, proving once again that necromancers are just historians with generally terrible boundaries. The standout unit is the Fallen Divinity, a massive god-powered nightmare creature that literally consumes magic energy to survive. So basically, what happens when a Warhammer demon and your Hydro Bill have a child. The faction is thematically incredible though. Nothing says fun casual game night like spending 20 minutes explaining 12 different resurrection mechanics while your opponent quietly folds up their measuring tape and texts their Uber. Weaver Quartz. What if anxiety was a faction? Para Bellum also revealed the new Weaver Quartz one-player starter. The faction focuses on ranged attacks that apply marks and status effects before melee units come in to finish armies off in devastating combos. So after years of tabletop game teaching us the time-honored lesson of shoot the thing until the thing stops, the Weaver Quartz ask instead, what if your turn required a flowchart? Players carefully sequencing abilities, track layered effects, and plan combos several activations in advance, which is exciting for tactical players and genuinely terrifying for anyone who still forgets their command phase abilities. You know who you are. You forget every game. Every game. The faction description says their plans can blossom into success or wither away in failure. Much like my attempts at painting white armor, rest in peace, they were gray. They deserved better. Kingdom Death announced Rites of Spring, Rivers of Blood. And as always with Kingdom Death, every single sentence somehow sounds illegal in at least 2 provinces. The event involves Lygomorph survivors hunting a designated prey target during blood rites for a prosperous year, which sounds less like a tabletop expansion and more like a folk festival in rural Quebec that nobody asks questions about after the second weekend. The release includes Reverse Lygomorph Lucy, Reverse Lygomorph Ezra, and Cheeky Allison. Those sound less like miniatures and more like rejected flavors of an energy drink that got pulled from shelves after the incident. Veteran Kingdom Death players insist, no, the lore makes sense after 400 hours. Sure, and poutine is technically a salad. Brush tips nobody asked for. If you accidentally purchased the new Armageddon box, congratulations on your new full-time hobby. You're feeling overwhelmed by 61 miniatures staring at you from across the room. Paint the orcs assembly line style. Because once you've painted one green screaming lunatic,
With rusty metal and questionable dental coverage, you've basically painted all of Winnipeg during playoff season. Second tip, if you're struggling with motivation, place one fully painted miniature on your hobby desk before every session. It creates the powerful psychological illusion that you finish projects. Professional psychologists call this lying to yourself productivity. I call it Tuesday. And finally, never, ever compare your painting progress to Instagram painters. Those people are one of three things: professional artists with a decade of experience and proper lighting rigs, wizards, actual wizards, or Duncan Rhodes. It's always Duncan somehow.
Now a word from our sponsors. New from Citadel. None Oil Max Trademark Incorporated. Do you love shading your miniatures but find None Oil simply too forgiving? Try the all-new None Oil Max. Now with 40% more emotional devastating per spill. Features include instantly turning any miniature into grim dark whether you meant to or not, permanently staining your favorite hoodie in patterns Rawshank would describe as concerning, and creating a panic response strong enough to be detected by nearby psychers. One accidental tip of the bottle can weather a Bane blade, your hobby desk, your marriage, and most standard hardwood flooring. In that order, in about 8 seconds. Available wherever hobby supplies are sold behind a reinforced glass case and a small prayer to the Omnissiah. The Tactical Dice Jail Air Fryer Trademark Incorporated are your dice rolling poorly. Don't just punish them. Don't just shame them. Crisp them. The Tactical Dice Jail Air Fryer Trademark Incorporated uses patented thermal shame technology to remind your polyhedral traders exactly who is in command. Features include tournament mode for when the stakes are the highest and the dice know it, casual betrayal settings for a weeknight, and a French language Quebec profanity option for extra regional flavor. Removable tray for melted Cheesex cubes. Warning, not approved for official competitive events following what is now legally referred to as the Calgary incident. We can't talk about Calgary. Army Painter Speed Juice Trademark Incorporated, the official energy drink of Deadline Panic. Need sustained energy for a 14-hour painted marathon before a tournament that starts in 9 hours? Try Army Painter Speed Juice Trademark Incorporated. Every can contains caffeine, electrolytes, trace amounts of plastic dust, and enough anxiety to finish basing an entire army at 2:17 a.m. while your cat judges you. Available in exciting flavors including Goblin Lime, Ultramarine Blast, and the fan favorite, Mysterious Brown Wash. Side effects include dry brushing furniture, believing you can responsibly start another army, and briefly considering whether you could base the cat. You cannot base the cat. Events and exposés. Corvus Belli releases ITS Season 17 Tournament Pack, featuring exclusive miniatures including Mechazoid, Hussein, and Sasha. Infinity players are thrilled because nothing motivates competitive attendance quite like exclusive miniatures that nobody else can legally obtain anywhere. The new Castrol Expansion Pack Delta and Hatham Aereo units also arrived this week. Infinity continues to produce some of the most breathtaking, beautiful sci-fi miniatures in existence, along with rules interactions documented using what appears to be encrypted NATO treaty language. Learning Infinity feels like applying for air traffic controller certification. while a second air traffic controller explains the first controller's rules using a third rulebook in a second language during turbulence. Rotating minigame. This week's outrage in one sentence. Games Workshop fans spent an entire week complaining that the new Armageddon box will probably be too expensive, despite already knowing exactly which shelf they're putting it on. That shelf has been cleared. That shelf was cleared before the announcement. The shelf has always been there. The shelf was waiting. Predictions and closing remarks. Before I let you go, next week's predictions. 3 more YouTubers will announce the future of tabletop gaming from garages containing exactly 1 folding table, 17 ring lights, and a suspiciously new microphone. Somebody will attempt a kit bash the fallen divinity using only spare orc parts and emotional instability. It will be incredible. It will be wrong. They will be praised. Duncan Rhodes will drop another silhouette containing approximately 3 pixels and 1 shadow, and the internet will correctly identify the sculptor, lore chapter, release window, and MSRP. One Canadian hobbyist store employee will survive launch weekend entirely on coffee, stress, and whispered prayers to the Omnissiah. Their name will not appear in any lore. Their sacrifice will not be forgotten. And remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. But in the present, there is mostly waiting for restocks. I'm your host. This has been the Miniature Misinformer episode 21. Subscribe, leave a review, share with a hobbyist who needs this, and wherever you do not purchase or open the Armageddon box until you finish your pile of shame. What are we kidding? We both know you're going to open it anyways. Good night.